गोपीजनवल्लभा गिरिवरधा गोपीजनवल्लभा गिरिवरधा यशोदानन्दन व्रजजनरञ्जना यशोदानन्दन व्रजजनरञ्जना यमुना तीरावनचारी यमुना तीरावनचारी जयो राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Gaur Premanande. Jai Om Vishnupad Parasparacharya Astotra His Divine Grace Abhay Charan Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Parasparacharya Astotra Sri Srimad Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Ki Jai. Srimad Bhagavad Puran Ki Jai. Samaveta Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled duties. All glories to the assembled duties. All glories to the assembled duties. All glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga. Jai Gaur Premanande. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Sloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistaki. Srimad Bhagavatam Canto 10 Chapter 70 Verse 39. Word to word meaning. Jivasya, for the conditioned living being. Ya, he the Supreme Lord. Who? Samasharata, the conditioned soul caught in the cycle of birth and death. Vimakshanam, liberation. Na janata, not knowing. Anartha, unwanted things. Vahat, which brings. Sharira, from the material body. Leela, for pastimes. Avatare, by his appearance in the world. Swa, his own. Yasha, fame. Pradipakam, the torch. Prajwalayat, made to blaze. Tva, you. Tam, that Lord. Aham, I. Prapadye, approach for shelter. Translation. The living being, verse. Jivasyaya samsarata vimokshanam. Jivasya shamsharata viksh na janata anartha vahasharirata leelavatare swayasha pradipakam leelavatare swayasha pradipakam prajvalayatva tam aham prapadye. Jivasya shamsharata vimokshanam na janata anartha vahat samsrata sarirata leelavatre swayasha pradipakam prajvalayatva tam aham prapadye. Hare Krishna. Jivasya shamsrata vimokshanam Lilatayasyapadikam. Jivasya shamsrata vimokshanam nartha vahasharira. लीलावतरैस्वायशा प्रदीपकम् Translation: the living being caught in the cycle of birth and death does not know how he can be delivered from the material body, which brings him so much trouble. But you, the Supreme Lord, descend in this world in various personal forms, and by performing your pastimes, you illumine the soul's path with the blazing torch of your fame. Therefore, I surrender unto you. Purport: Srila Prabhupada writes, Narada said, in the bodily concept of knowledge, everyone is driven by material desires, and thus everyone develops new material bodies, one after another, in the cycle of birth and death. Being absorbed in such concept of existence, one does not know how to get out of the engagement of the material body. Out of your causeless mercy, my Lord, you descend to exhibit your different transcendental pastimes, which are illuminating and full of glory. Therefore, I have no alternative but to offer my respectful obeisances unto you. My dear Lord, you are the supreme Parabrahman, and your pastimes as an ordinary human are another tactical resource, exactly like a play on the stage, in which an actor plays parts different from his own identity. ॐ नमो भगवते sorry ॐ अज्ञानतिमृन्दस्य ज्ञानञ्जनाशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवं च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं सजीवं साद्वैतं सवधूतं परिजनासहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपदा सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितं च हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिककान्त राधाकान्ता नमोऽस्तुते तप्तकाञ्चना गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पवनेभ्यो वैष्णवभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. This is a beautiful verse. Jivasya. Jivasya for the conditioned living being, it says. So, anyone in this material world is conditioned. Conditioned means within the body is conditioned. Is struggling with his body, mind, senses. As a hard struggle for existence in this material world. Like, like a bird is put in a cage and the owner feeds and then it's let loose from the cage, and this particular bird tiltila, and and the person calls by, makes a sound kia kia something tilla tilla, and the bird goes out and comes back to the cage to eat the grains again. So it's released, but it's coming back again to the cage. Similarly, we are identifying with this body, and we are repeatedly going in the cycle of birth and death, up and down in different bodies. But if we desire Krishna, then we go back home to Krishna, because Krishna is eternal, and we also are eternal souls. But due to material disease, we have this body. Like an person is a president of a country, United States at that time, was Nixon. In order to become his servant or assistant, one has to be qualified to be his secretary. Similarly, to go back home to Godhead also, one has to become free from material disease, because his body is a disease condition of life. So this, in this verse particularly, it says, The living being caught in the cycle of birth and death does not know how he can be delivered from the material body, which brings him so much trouble. But you, the Supreme Lord, descend to this world in various personal forms and perform your pastimes. You illumine the soul's path with the blazing torch of your fame. Therefore, I surrender unto you. So ultimately, Krishna is so kind. He comes, he performs his pastimes. Janma karma chame divyam. So one who understands this, Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Janma karma chame divyam evam yo veti tatvata tyaktva deham janar tyakta deham janar punar janma naiti mameti. So Arjuna. So after giving up this body, when one understands this pastimes of Lord Krishna in Tattvata in full, he can become free from this cycle of repeated birth and death. Janma karma chame divyam evam yo viti tattvata takta deham punarjanma neti mameti. So Arjuna. In the chapter 18 Bhagavad Gita, verse 40, Krishna says that everybody is under this modes of material nature, from any living being from a higher planet to the demigods. So they are all under this modes of nature, and they are sure to commit mistakes. So even the demigods are not free from this. Everybody is under the grip of nature, goodness, passion, ignorance, and this. And Bhagavad Gita also mentioned that the activities in goodness, in the beginning, whatever happiness we derive is painful, but in poison, but in last it is nectar. That means in goodness. So anything we perform devotional service also, in the beginning it feels very painful. We have to get up early in the morning, we have to take a bath and come to the temple, and sing for the Lord, and then chant Hare Krishna, then at in Bhagavatam class, Guru Puja. So we are not used to this. We are material disease. Even chanting of Hare Krishna is like a jaundice patient. Jaundice patient doesn't likes it. In the beginning, it's um, bitter, but later it's a medicine for the disease condition. So we are all diseased, having this material body, different degrees of disease. So unless one doesn't surrender to Krishna, he cannot become free from this material disease. But Krishna is so kind. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he appeared, he delivered Jagai Madai, uh, and so they were considered so much fallen that. So one of Prabhupada's disciple Harisori saying, we are also fallen. Then how can we be delivered? We are more than Jagai Madai. So Prabhupada says Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is very merciful. So in this, so that's a solution to all the problem is Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nami Kevalam. Kalo nas deva nas deva gati ranyata. There is no other way. There is no other way. Chanting of the holy name of the Lord. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Ram Rama, Hare Hare. Yesterday in the class, the whole description was given about the holy name. So the key to the success of the holy name is to hear the holy name, each name, and one has to practice constantly. So we have to practice chanting of Hare Krishna. But in our conditioned state, we cannot chant all the time. But that's the recommended process. Uh, so, so Bhagavad Gita, it says 1840 that we are different disease. So we are all materially diseased. Nobody is free. So it's but the medicine is taking shelter of the Lord's representative, and it's the Lord Krishna. So, so the devotees of the Lord, the exalted personalities, they travel all over the world to deliver the conditioned living beings who are entangled in this cycle of repeated birth and death. So it's very nice. So that the power is empowered by Lord's representative, or a pure representative of Lord, or empowered devotee of Lord. So that's what Guru Krishna Kripa Pai Bhakti Lata Bij. It's the spiritual potency there when we hear from a realized soul, a very advanced devotee of Lord, or hear from devotee who is representing Krishna in a bona fide parampara. So one has to hear from a bona fide in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1. Uh, it's recommended how one should hear from a bona fide source. So then has it has a potency, the spiritual potency, and the saintly persons through them we get. So that's why it's very uh, we have like Prabhupada disciples, many advanced devotees. They travel around the world and they preach the message of Lord, and in that has the potency. Say also in Srimad Bhagavatam, one should hear from a Bhagavata person, Bhagavata whose life is Bhagavat. Then it has the potency like that. So the potency coming because Sadhu Shastra Guru, the Sadhu speaks from the scriptures like that. Devotee speaks from the scriptures, Sadhu Santa. So one has to practice of reading these scriptures and applying in life. That's what. So all the great acharyas, the great representative Lord, their life is fully dedicated to absorb in the scriptures and distributing this knowledge to others. So when Vaishnava is very paradukha dukhi, he sees that everybody is suffering in this world, and then how can he be delivered? So that's actually a Vaishnava, paradukha dukhi. He is not concerned. Suppose a person, if you have a blind person and you followed a blind person, you fall in ditch. So when suppose one is a fruity worker and then his followers also are fruity workers, then naturally then it's like just blind and blind following the blind. But same thing, everything can be used in Krishna's service, like we see here in this pastime, wonderful. It's beautiful pastimes. All the persons who are engaged in music, dancing, they were using their energy in the service of Krishna. And Lord Krishna used to get up early in the morning and perform his. Lord Krishna has not no need to perform any prescribed duties, but he gives an example how one should perform his daily activities when Lord Krishna was on his material planet. Uh, so he used to perform in this beautiful. We heard about it. Uh, Krishna entered the Sudharma hall, and the Sudharma hall was brought from the heavenly planet. And on this planet, anyone who enter on this in that Sudharma hall, he would become from the six lamentation of birth, old age, disease, hunger, lamentation, and illusion, like that. So it's very nice. And Krishna, when Krishna used to enter the Sudharma hall, he used to become the same form, used to become one. And everyone who used to see Krishna in different palaces, they could only see Krishna within that particular jurisdiction, like that. So this Sudharma hall is wonderful. Then Lord Krishna, when he used to sit in the palace, all the along the Vrishnis, he used to look very effulgent. All the palace used to become effulgent by his presence, and Krishna used to look like a moon in the midst of all these lions. Great personalities. And the musicians, jesters, the comedians, trainers would perform. Female dancers would dance energetically. Hare Krishna. So this and dance and sing to the mridanga, veena sounds. So one day a messenger came and the doorkeeper took him along and he approached front of Krishna, and with his folded palms he described that number of kings were suffering due to Jasandas had imprisoned him. So 20 thousands of kings, they were submitted to Jasanda because Jasanda wanted to uh, they didn't give him a tax returns. So Jasanda imprisoned them, and they were all great devotees of the Lord. And the messenger is conveying the message of the kings. They have taken shelter of you because fear of material existence. One has to become very fearful of this material existence. It's a very dangerous place, material world. Tukhalyam ashashvatam. Nobody's free from the cycle of birth, old age, disease, like that. So one has to keep everything in front of us. There's birth, there's old age, there's disease. So one has to become very padam 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 yatvi padam. But one, it's very step. So they similarly these kings, they took shelter of Krishna. They sent a messenger, and generally the messenger is saying people are always engaged in sinful activities, and their real duty is to worship you. So Jivere Sarup Hoy Nitya Krishna Das. There's nine process of devotional service: Shravanam, Kirtanam, Archanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atmanivedanam, Smaranam, Pada Sevanam. So there are different great devotees of the Lord who who attain perfection by performing each process. Shravanam, Kirtanam, especially in this age, the chanting of the name is recommended. The process Kirtana Deva Krishnasya. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says how one should chant in Sikshastakam, and how one should become free from the 10 offenses in order to chant the holy name. People are always engaged in sinful activities and thus bewildered about the real duty, which is to worship you according to your commandments. This activity would bring them good fortune. So, first, the messenger says, they have surrendered to you, and they have taken your shelter now. And generally, in this world, people want to engage in fruity works, and they are engaged in sinful activities. They become bound. So, fruity activities binds up in this material world. So one should take the shelter of a very elevated personality of God, who is free from this fruity mentality, and follow his teachings, because it gives teachings from. And devotee's life is to preach this message of Krishna. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, जीवेरे कृपाय केला maya मुक्त जीव nahi Krishna gyan. My living entity is entangled in this maya. He has forgotten Krishna. Jivere kripay kela Ved Puran. So Krishna is so kind. He has given us the scriptures. So uh, one should be very well versed in the science of Krishna consciousness. Uh, so that's also teachings in Bhagavatam here. So one should hear from a bona fide source, and one should be very well versed in the scriptures, know the science of Krishna consciousness, and apply in this life. So it's very beneficial. Shravanam, Kirtanam, anybody. People who are learning in sinful activity bewildered about the real duty, which is to worship you according to your commandments. This activity would really, truly bring about them good fortune. So Sadhu Shastra, Guru Scriptures, Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam. So let us offer obeisance unto the all-powerful Lord, who appears as time certainly counts one sharp, stubborn hope for a long life in this world. So say we have to worship the Lord according to His commandments. That will bring us. That's what Shravanam, Kirtanam, ninth process of devotional service. Yeah, and you have descended with your personal power to protect saintly and suppress the wicked. We cannot understand how anyone can transgress your law and still continue to enjoy the fruits of his work. So Krishna is so kind. He has come in this holy name of uh, the holy name chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So one should be very determined to chant this holy name in this life. One should practice. So practice makes one perfect. Like suppose one wants to become a sportsman, he wins the World Cup. He might have practiced very lot from his childhood. He has practiced this, and he has become perfect. So what to speak of spiritual life? So much one has to be constantly, consciously, and always being engaged in devotional service. Uh, so he has to have firm faith. Krishna will surely protect me in all circumstances, in all dangers. So this here he says, Oh Lord, with his gospel always fear, we bear the burden of the relative happiness of kings, which is less like a dream. Thus, we have rejected the real happiness of soul, which comes by rendering selfless service to you. Being so wretched, we simply suffer in this life and under the spell of your illusory energy. He's saying this body, messenger is conveying the message of a king, is just like a corpse, like and full of fear. uh, we bear the burden of the relatives happiness of kings, which is just like a dream. So in this material world, we have to water the root of the tree, the best, and Krishna is the source of everything. Just when you water the branches, leaves, it takes more long time. So just we take care of the body is essential. Krishna says yuktahara viharasya. This is very simple teachings. Krishna is very clear cut. One should be regulated in his eating and sleeping. So this is very important in a spiritual life, because generally in this age, Kali Yuga, everything declines. We are not regulated in our eating, nor we are in sleeping, because we are influenced. We are in the modes of nature. We have we like in Bhagavatam it says people in this age have short life, and the duration of life is less. The memory is less. Their bodily strength is less. Everything is becomes less. So it's so we utilize all this politics, sports. We Our eating is not regulated, our sleeping is not regulated. We waste our energy in this, because we are addicted to these things. So we have this material disease. So many other many this is that. So we here says, oh Lord, with the cost like body always fear of, we bear the burden of relative happiness of kings, which are less like a dream. Thus, we have rejected the real happiness of the soul, which comes by rendering selfless service to you. Being so very wretched, we simply suffer in this life under the spell of your illusion energy. So, conditioned soul forgetting Krishna, where he's engaged in sense gratification. Like in passion, it seems like is goodness. It seems like poison, but it's nectar. So it's troublesome. We have to do austerity. We have to get up and perform devotional service on a regular basis and constantly chant of Hare Krishna mantra, associate with devotees, render service to the Lord and his devotees. So that's the process. So in goodness, passion is like in the beginning, sense gratification seems like nectar, but in later it's like poison. So in the beginning it seems like nectar, but it's later poison. That's in passion. So materially, so one is goodness, one is in passion activities. So beginning it's like poison, later is nectar. That is goodness. In passion, sense gratification seems like nectar, but it's like poison. Sense gratification will cause many miseries, and then you become entangled in this material life. So here it says Jivasya conditioned living being. Conditioned living being, Samasrita caught in the cycle of birth. Samasrita means cycle of birth and death. Vimokshana, liberation. Anartha, unwanted things. Sharira from the material body. Leela or pastimes. Yat Shapim. Uh, Prapadye, approach for shelter. Krishna. Hare Krishna. So wonderful this science in this one particular verse. So much things are there. We are conditioned living beings, and the Supreme Lord is so kind us. We are repeated in the cycle of birth and death, and we have so much anarthas, and so and ignorance. Ignorance is means totally. He feels happy in sleep, laziness, like that, illusion, intoxication. He's totally bereft of knowledge like that. So it's goodness, passion, and ignorance like that. And then verse 40 it says, conditioned souls. Uh, and it's from demigods to living entities. Therefore, they're sure to commit mistakes like that. So one should not be puffed up. That's all the teachings of Vaishnava Vaisam in Chaitanya Charitamrita. So all the devotees, they were very humble. They were surrendered to Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. They were scholars in the scriptures. Sanatan Goswami says, teacher, they say me, I'm very learned, I'm very scholar, but I do not know who am I. Am I this body or am I a spirit soul? So he was learned in one sense. He was assisting the governor, but he is saying that I do not know. So what to say, speak of us like that. So one should practice humility. One should be very tolerant. Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Trinadapi sunichena tarorapi shaishnuna amani namanadena kirtanya sadari. One should chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than the straw in the street. One should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige. Like Srila Prabhupada says, it's very difficult. Uh, it's like to make a devotee, you have to spend gallons of blood, like uh, yeah, we have to spend gallons of blood like that to make one devotee. So devotees are very rare. Devotees are very precious like that. So in other words, it takes a lot of endeavor to make person to come to Krishna consciousness. You have to take a lot of. You have to tolerate their all their this. So still, devotee is very kind. Vaishnava is very kind to everyone. He prays for everyone's welfare. He is considerate of this. So, therefore, since your feet relieve the souls of those surrendered, please release us prisoners from the shackles of karma. Manifest as King of Magda, wielding alone the prowess of 10,000 mad elephants. So, this is a wonderful messenger. This message, how he is approaching the messenger is approaching Lord Krishna on the behalf of the kings who are devotees of the Lord, and how they were explaining different. The messenger is saying, "We are surrendered, but we are taken to shelter of material existence, and now we are coming to you." And people are engaged in sinful activities, and they are forgetful of their real duty is to worship Lord and follow His commandments. And Krishna is so kind; He has descended to this world uh, and to protect the saintly and suppress it. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata glanir abhyutham nama dharmasya tadatmanam srijami paritunaya sadhunam vinashaya cha duskritam dharma samsapanartai sambhavami yuge yuge. So Lord Krishna comes and yada yada hi dharmasya, whenever there is decline in religious practice, and religion is prominent. Dharmas yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharat abhyuthanam dharmasya tadatmanam srijam paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha duskrim, to annihilate the miscreants and to protect the devotees. So he descends to this protect. So Lord Krishna, the messenger on the behalf of Krishna, then he's identifying. Their kings are identifying their body, which is a corpse, and real happiness is of the soul. One. So then finally they surrender. And then they are saying the power of Jasana, the power of 10,000 elephants, and they didn't pay the tax, so he arrested them. The messenger continued, "This is the message of King Imprisonment, who all anchor for your audience have surrendered to your feet. Please bestow good fortune on these poor souls." When the king's messenger had spoken, the sage of demigod Narada suddenly appeared. Then later Narada appears and Lord Krishna offers him respects. How you have to offer respects to a saintly person. Krishna shows in this we have to respect the elders, we have to brahmanas, cows, and this we have to take care of them like that. Very wonderful science of Krishna consciousness. When Krishna when he was in this material world. Like when Parikshit Maharaj saw Kali in his and immediately he tried to kill Kali, and Kali took shelter of Parikshit Maharaj. So then the Brahmana, he was ignorant, he cursed Parikshit Maharaj that he will send. And the Brahmanas further, he told that you made a big mistake by cursing this king like that. But which was the arrangement of Lord that Parikshit Srimad Bhagavatam will be spoken like that. So yeah, it's very beautiful science of Krishna conscious. Narad accepts it offered. It's certain that three worlds attain freedom from fear. That is the influence of great personality. There is nothing unknown to you with God's creation. Therefore, please tell us Pandavas into. I've seen many times the instant power of your Maya, Almighty One, by which you bewildered even the creation. It says, from there to a small living entity, everybody is bewildered by Maya. Hare Krishna. Jivere Swarup Hoy Nitya Krishna Das. All come light. We are all eternal servitors of Krishna, but we have fallen into this material world in the repeated cycle of birth, old age. Does not so it does not have that you discuss your power moving power. Fire covers its own light with smoke. Who can properly understand your purpose with your material energy? You expand and also withdraw this creation, and thus appears to have substantial obedience to you, whose transcendent position is inconceivable. So, this repeated obeisances to the Lord, we always see repeatedly in Srimad Bhagavatam, offering obeisance, always thinking of Krishna, offering and worshipping Krishna. So, this now is the cycle of birth. How can be delivered? This man, Narad Muni say. So once an saint and rat came to a saintly person and he asked for a benediction. Oh, this cat are giving me trouble. So the sage told, okay, tatastu, you become now, and that you become a dog. He becomes a dog, and then so this material civilization is like that. There's all this nuclear weapon. So we have to. So this godless civilization cannot be happy. One cannot be happy. One has to take shelter of Lord Krishna consciousness. One has to try to love God, and that shortcut is Hare Nama, Hare Nami Kevalam. So without this, in this godless civilization, so Sukham Katam, it is very pleasing. Nitya Siddha Krishna Bhakti Sadhya Kabunaya Shravanadi Shuddha Kare Chittadaya. Krishna consciousness within everyone's heart. It is dormant person. Then you have to knock. Wake up, Jeev Jago. Then he wakes up. Similarly, everybody is sleeping in this lap of Maya. So we have to chant Hare Krishna constantly. Wonderful. Um, Krishna says, keep always this thing in front, birth, old age, and try to save your this philosophy. Happy in this godless civilization. So when we speak truth, Satyam Priyam, we have to speak truth in a very pleasing way. But as preachers of Krishna consciousness, we have vacation and develop love for God. And in the process is chanting of the holy name Hare Name Kevalam. It's very pleasing. And because how we can do Shravanadi keeping now, that we have to practice the holy name of the Lord. Wake up. So weighty. Hare Krishna. It's beautiful science of Krishna. Because we have an eternal relationship with Krishna. Krishna is eternal, and we have an eternal relationship with Krishna. So when we have a spiritual body, we will go back home to Godhead. Like example is given, if you want to become a president secretary of country, or you have to have the qualification of your servant. The man is known by his companies, like it says. Similarly, to become a president or qualified president, then he has to become qualified secretary also, servant also. So we have this body, it's a disease contestant. So we have to make our body spiritual body. Then we go back home, back to Godhead. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So this material body is a disease condition. So it said one should not become a father, one should not become a guru, um, one should not become a teacher, like unless he saves his dependent from the cycle of birth and death. We are in the connect. So it is the duty of the father to save his dependence from the repeated cycle of birth and death. Good. So we have to, Srila Prabhupada says, we have to accept one body after another. We have to go into the womb of mother. We have to become packed up. Mm. And at present, even in the womb of mother, one is not safe. So Krishna says to Arjuna, Yudhyasya mam anusmara yat karoshi, whatever you do for my pleasure. So Arjuna first was relucting to fight on the bodily conception, on the disease. Then he finally accepted Krishna's instruction, and then he became free from this body disease and has to surrender. Uh, so we have taken many shelters. Uh, but suppose a diseased person, he cannot be cured even if even as the best medicine like that. Even a child has parents, but he cannot be protected if he is not properly trained. He should be. So this is the teaching of Prahlad Nachima. Similar shelter the shelter of a drowning, not the boat or the high sea. So a manufactured shelter of parent, a deceased person taking shelter of a drowning man is taking shelter of a boat. So Maprala says all these shelters are actually not shelter. The shelter is your lordship. If you neglect somebody, these shelters will not act. This will not give protection. If you don't take care of a drowning man, the boat cannot save it. If you do not take care of the child, in spite of present parents, will not be properly raised. If you do not take care of patient, in spite of good physician, doctor will die. This is point. So we are Krishna is the owner of this body. Like I am the proprietor of my body. You are the proprietor, but Krishna is the proprietor of my body, your body, everyone's body. Like example, the landlord is the proprietor of house. I am the occupier of the particular room. I have nothing to do with others. Now one should know Kshetra, Kshetragnayor, and Jnanam. This is knowledge. So one is the Supreme Lord, one is the soul, and one we this body. No, one should know the soul, the super soul. So one should know what is the material world, the creator, and we are living entities. We are simply occupier, but there is a creator, that is God, Krishna, and this material world is made of matter. This is knowledge. Not everything has come out of him. There's no God. So one has to. There's material nature is working under the direction of the Lord. It's not moving on its own. So the soul can be satisfied by serving the super soul. One should develop love for the super soul. Whatever love in this material worlds, the word love is used more. Some love lasts for a few days, some love lasts for a few years, some love lasts forever. Generally, people aspire for the third one, but we don't see in this material world. And that's the love of the soul and the super soul. That's the real love. In this world, material world means it's a temporary. This body is temporary, and whatever connected is also temporary. So sense gratification is temporary, and sense gratification is source of miseries. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So the only solace solution is the name of the Lord. Fully Hare Krishna. Any comments? Any comment? Yes, bro.
Thank you for your class, Prabhu.
Thank you.
I do have one thought because you spoke about a lot of different things that are existent. Um, so, and what has been your experience with like book distribution now? Because I know you distribute books for many years,
Hmm.
and the use of social media platforms such as web. What did we have? We have podcasts available now. People can actually have their own TV channels,
Hmm.
internet channels,
Hmm.
just like that. So, have you had any thoughts about how we can um, kind of utilize some of these tools,
Hmm.
utility being the principle, how we can
Yeah,
utilize some of these tools?
we should hear from an expert person, Vaisheshika Prabhu. Vaisheshika Prabhu is an expert in book distribution, Maharati, Srila Prabhupada's disciples. So one thing is we have to hear from uh, the book distributors who are very enthusiastic in book distribution. Like humility, we can develop humility, we can associate a person who has that humility. Similarly, book distribution also, when we hear repeatedly, at that time it was lot like that. The emphasis was book distribution. Harikesh Swami at that time, Prabhu, and his they passed Navin Nirad, Hari Namanand, and Kim. I read book. I read means I just science of self-realization. Says we are not the body, even an elephant. The Lord is providing, and small ant is providing. Uh, so I sell. So nice these books are. So why not distribute it? So so I begin starting to from the Radha Raspberry Temple. I was very eager. People were 100,000 people coming to the temple, Jew, and I was saying each person take a book. Don't go to the theater next. Take a book. Take a book. It was so much young, energy blurred like this, strong this, and so then we distributing books in Bombay. Bombay is a very polluted, with a lot of cities all polluted in the city, a lot of mud, fuels like that, and this inspired me reading Prabhupada's books and hearing about all this from book distributors, especially. So they have many techniques of distributing books. Somebody put tables and distribute books. Somebody goes to the library, they distribute books. Somebody goes hand to hand, book distributes. They travel around different places in cities and distribute books. And now we have people come to the temple. A lot of people come to the temple, and we take their contacts, and they are favorable for books. So more people get books in that. Srimad Bhagavatam sets goes like that. So yeah. And another say through mail also you distribute books and getting contacts of a friend or whatever like that. So there are many ways to distribute books. At that time, my mother told me, "Yet you're now young. You need in your age. When you become old, then who will take care of you? You need money." And I was a little in India. Sadhu means like nothing material like that. It's not perfect renunciation. One should have knowledge, and everything can be used in Krishna's service like that. She told me, but I ignored. But I was very into this. Um, book distribution. So it's like we have to also read the books. It's not just distributing books. That's good. When we are young, we are in this. It has the benefit to progress in our Krishna consciousness and apply the teachings in our day-to-day life. So there are many techniques of book distribution, but the most important thing, our enthusiasm is count. We have a eagerness to give these books to others. We have to be very eager to give this knowledge. So nice knowledge, people are suffering in this material world due to lack of this knowledge. So we have to take this knowledge and apply in this life. But this knowledge is very pure knowledge. It's a very topmost science, Krishna consciousness. It's not so cheap like that. Going back home, it's not so cheap. It needs a lot of mercy of a saintly person and his devotee and the Lord like that. So we hear from a saintly person, we associate with a saintly person, we take instruction from him, we take his shelter, then it becomes very powerful. This, so in the association of devotees, it becomes more powerful like that. In the association of devotee, it becomes very joyful also. Sankirtan, Satsang means Sat means who are always into that particular kirtan. Kirtan is not only just by doing kirtan. Kirtan is also uh, speaking about Krishna and doing some Harinam together. Uh, but one has to be very attentive in chanting of holy name of the Lord. One has to be very determined to chant Hare Krishna mantra. In this way, it gives us energy to distribute this knowledge. And we have no other activities. We have to be focused. And to be focused, Bhagavad Gita gives different chapter in verse 3, chapter 35 to um, yeah to 24, 6 chapter 17, 6 24, 6 chapter 34. In this Bhagavad Gita is given how we can focus our, it's like a student wants to learn very nicely. He has to give his examination, and he is preparing for his exam, and then all of a sudden somebody comes and gives him the news of movie or some sports like that, and he has to give his exam next day, and his focus goes to something else. Then he wastes his time, energy in that particular thing. So Bhagavad Gita, in this chapter Bhagavad Gita, we can, this you can take this chapter 335 to 24, 617, 624 and 634. It says how to focus. One should accept a spiritual master, take instruction from him. One should control the mind, one should control the senses, purify one's existence, and purity is the force. We are more pure, then more we can distribute more knowledge, more these books to others. So then I went to traveling Sankirtan bus party. So we were used to distribute books, and we had a lot of devotees at that time, and they were also very enthusiastic distributing books. So we heard from devotees who were in book distribution, and we were very inspired because at that time they were inspiring a lot of book distribution. They were emphasizing on this, and with the devotees also were very into book distribution, and in their association also we learned how going places, different places, how to put stalls and distributes person to person like that. Person of person is, but Prabhupada says you use your intelligence in service of Krishna. So intelligent person he can use, like I said, Bhagavatam, like we distribute sets of Bhagavatam. Individually, it will be very difficult, but his intelligence, like people coming to temple, they are very favorable, and then you give in lot bulk books like that. That's one way like that. And Vaishesha Koru has many other in his book distribution. He's some master of book distribution. Very. Then I thought, why not distribute all over the world? So I landed in O'Hare Airport, and there were many people coming and that, and then on the streets like that. But in streets in Chicago, it's very tough. Like people are in mode of ignorance. It's very difficult to stop them like that. But at an intense desire, thousands of hundreds of peoples, even they didn't talk, I show them the books, because mostly people are so much engaged in the day-to-day work, they are not interested in this. You give them sense gratification, they will take it. But if you say this will free you from this material disease, they won't take it, because all that eating, sleeping, defending, gratifying thing is there, it's available. But they won't take this book. But devotees try the best, and rest is to Krishna. Srila Prabhupada says, you go out, Krishna sees your endeavor, your bhava. He sees your bhava here. But book distribution is very effective to progress in spiritual life. This preaching is very effective to do our sadhana, practice our sadhana. Even if we uh, cannot use our this skills, we can use our try to give this knowledge to others in the form of book. Like Shri Prabhu, uh, like we saw many people came and said that, but he used his talent in preaching. He was not into this, but book distribution, put a whole stall of books. Some of people come take to books like that. So that's good. Here, so, Uttam Shloka. Yeah. Yeah, purity is the force, preaching is the essence, books are the basis, utility is the principle, preaching is the essence. So, studying the scriptures, knowing these books, we note down. We There are a lot of now YouTube's lectures, many speakers are there, but there are a lot of points in that we note down that, because in Kali Yuga we don't have intelligence, so note down because we practice that, we may forget, again practice that, again thing is repeated, then it sharpens our memory like that. Because Kali Yuga is very unfortunate, people are so in every, we don't have that energy, energetic. And during Prabhupada's times, Prabhupada disciples, they were very into book distribution. They heard Prabhupada emphasized, go out, distribute this knowledge. And then this whole, these temples, we see most of the temples money, they came from book distribution. And that money also is pure. We eat for money. Book distribution, we, when we were in Sankirtan bus like that, um, it's not, the food is very very good. I don't say. They are traveling one place to another, and devotees are going out distributing books. That's real Lakshmi. Lakshmi. Lakshmi should not be used for sense gratification. It's Krishna's money, and so we have to be very cautious. Also, that everything I eat, only do everything from my body, mind, words, action, service of Krishna. Like that, I should dedicate this. So Krishna sees our endeavor; He's pleased by our endeavor. Like Ram, uh, there was once, I think so, squirrel, yeah, and all other the monkeys were laughing at this. And he was taking a squirrel or a small, yeah, it's taking small stones. But Ram was pleased by small endeavor like that. Like that. Krishna sees our bhava very bhava like that. We have to have an intense desire to give this knowledge to us. Yeah. And you're now in the temple and you have a good opportunity. You take association of devotees who are into it, book distribution like that. Alone it becomes difficult, but book distribution is we have to do alone only, but we can use in different techniques like uh, different. Sorry. Yes, Matani. Sorry. Yes. Yeah, Mata, you can say of book distribution. Something uh, add some flavor to book distribution. Prabhu has asked the techniques. Uh, Mata has experienced many years dedicated to. She's very fortunate. She's hearing Bhagavatam very attentively, day after day. Yeah, hearing Bhagavatam is very powerful. This should be our whole life and soul. Krishna, day and night. And we have to seek the mercy. We have to pray for the mercy of Vaishnavas. We have to pray for the mercy of Shad Goswamis. Take freedom from the mercy of Krishna, Kishore, Kishore. They're very kind. And these deities are very particular, very beautiful. And when, particularly in the turban, when you decorate the deities in the turban, the person who dresses him very opulently, he also becomes satisfied like that. I love that one. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. Srimad Bhagavat Puran ki jai. Shri Prabhupada.